Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. About me, I am Sandeep Bhushan. I have 8 years of teaching experience for civil services students. I teach international relations, internal security, and in-depth analysis of Hindu editorials and articles, along with the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And here we have tips to crack prelims in 90 days. Prior to that, you have a notification to subscribe for Crack UPSC CSE with Unacademy. And Unacademy is India's largest learning platform, and by subscribing you will have unlimited access, live and recorded courses from India's best educators. The other privileges while you subscribe is that you will have daily live classes wherein you can chat with your educator, engage in discussions, ask doubts, and also be part of the answer polls. You would also have live tests and quizzes wherein you can evaluate your preparation with our regular mock test and quizzes, and you can also get detailed analysis on your performance. You also have structured courses. All our courses are structured in line with UPSC exam syllabus, which would be helpful for you to best prepare for the exam. And you also have the unlimited access. Once you subscribe, you would have access to all our live and recorded courses to watch from your comfort zone, that is by laptop or from the mobile. At Unacademy, you have the top educators. They are Sudarshan Gujar, Ayush Sanghi, Prakash Kumar, Brunal Patel. Along with the top educators, you have the special classes by Dr. Roman Saini sir, Dr. Siddharth Arora, Lokendra Chauhan, Rakesh Verma, Ashish Malik. You also have the upcoming courses which are lined up in our platform, and they are capsule course on 250 multiple choice questions for UPSC prelims. You have comprehensive course in public administration. You have capsule course on geography optional. You also have Let's Crack UPSC CSE 2021. And in regards to the learner subscription, you can subscribe for 12 months, wherein for 12 months the original price is 40,000. But by using my code, you will get additional discount up to 36,000. You have 24 months UPSC CSE subscription. The original price is 52,000. Wherein by using my code SBT10, you can get the subscription for 46,800. Generally, the civil services preparation is must and sure for at least 12 months to 24 months. That is 1 to 2 years you need to have the solid preparation. And for the solid preparation, it's always recommended you go ahead with subscribing the 24 months, because the amount for 24 months and 12 months is just the variation is 10,000. So I personally recommend you to go ahead with subscribing 24 months. You can be benefited by just paying 46,800, and along with that, along with my classes, you can also have the classes of the other top educators at Unacademy. And today we would look at the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. So when we look at the Hindu newspaper, you have the news item called as Fund Allocation for Madrasas Witness Drop. So as we are seeing that there is parliamentary panel which is sending reports to the concerned or to the Rajya Sabha. So in that we have seen that the parliamentary panel has also mentioned about the SC/ST dropouts, and also in regards to the SC/ST funds which have been allocated for the education. And also we have seen the parliamentary panel which also has highlighted the kind of infrastructure which the government schools and the higher secondary schools across India is facing. That is, they have also emphasized on the electricity in the schools, that is government schools. They have also emphasized on the infrastructure. They have also emphasized on the playgrounds, and also there is emphasis on the boundary walls in the schools. So along with all this which have been emphasized by the parliamentary panel, or which has been given report by the parliamentary panel to the Rajya Sabha, today's news talks about the fund allocation for madrasas have dropped down. So the parliamentary panel has said to the government that, or to the Rajya Sabha, that the government spending on improving education, that is especially to the madrasas, have dropped drastically, and it is asking to pitch in, that is it is asking the government to interfere with the kind of amount being slashed, or the kind of funding which is being done, and this kind of funding which has been slashed or which has been dropped, and which is, apart from the funds which has been allocated, the usage of the fund is not appropriate. So looking at all that, the parliamentary panel has said that it is disturbing trend. That means, look at the keyword, disturbing trend. So it is disturbing, the trend is disturbing. What kind of trend? That is the fund allocation for madrasas, especially in regards to improving education, is disturbing, which will hurt the children's from the most educationally backward communities. That means the madrasas are actually for the educationally backward communities or the minorities, wherein if the government is witnessing, or else the government is not allocating the sufficient funds, or if they are allocating the sufficient funds, if they are not utilized properly, then it is a disturbing trend what the parliamentary panel is saying towards, or it is mentioned in the report. And it is also saying that, or the parliamentary standing committee on HRD, which has also given a report on the that it is demanding for grants in 2021. So along with the kind of cut short in the spending of the improving on the education for the madrasas, it is also demanding grants for the next 2021, that is next academic year 2021. And it is also mentioned in the report that in 2018-19, the scheme which has changed from 100% central grant into a centrally sponsored, which was a centrally sponsored scheme, and then later on it has been from 100% to 60% to 40%. That means earlier the central government used to spend the entire amount, or it has to grant the entire funds to the madrasas or to the entire education for the madrasas, but now it has been split in regards to the 60-40, that is 60 for the center and 40 by the state government, that is between the central and the state funding. And only 18.25 crore was actually spent that year. That means even though the amount which has been granted for the madrasas, only 18.25 crore is actually spent. That means the total amount is, the disbursed amount is not totally been spent. And in the year 2019-20, the expenditure under the scheme was 63.57 crore as of February 10, 2019. So this, here we are talking about the grants, here we are talking about the expenditure. When we are talking about the grants, they are below par. When we are talking about the expenditure, it's just above half of the allocated amount. So the emphasis, or when we are looking at this parliamentary panel report, you need to be very clear that what kind of, how the central fund or the funds have been allocated, or how it is been utilized, or it is underutilized, or when you are looking at about the expenditure, whether the expenditure is as per what it is to be within the limits, or it has been increased. So in the year 2019, the expenditure was 63.57 crore as on February 10, 2019. That is for the 2018-19 academic year, and it is very high. And then the next one is the news item you have in regards to the Hindu adoption not valid without consent from wife. So there is a Supreme Court verdict which has been given in regards to the adoption, especially emphasizing or focusing on the Hindu adoption. And the Supreme Court on March 6, 2020, Supreme Court on March 6, 2020 has given a verdict saying that the Hindu adoption is not valid When it is not valid? Unless the man takes prior consent from his wife and there is a ceremony of giving and taking in adoption. I repeat, the Supreme Court has given a judgment on the Hindu adoption on March 6, 2020. So we will focus on that. What is the judgment in regards to Hindu adoption? And it said Hindu adoption will be not valid when a man doesn't take prior consent from his wife, first point. And the second one is when there is no ceremony of giving and taking in adoption. The first one, prior consent, and the second one, no ceremony of giving and taking in adoption. That means when the adoption takes place, the man, that is the husband, has to take prior consent from his wife. That is, the husband and wife in tandem has to take a decision that they are adopting a child. Could be he or she, a baby or a girl, but adopting a child. So in that case, the husband has to take the prior consent with the wife. Only then it is valid. The first point. And the second one is the adoption will be valid as per the Hindu, or the Hindu adoption will be valid. The second one, when the adoption ceremony takes place in regards to giving and taking in adoption. That means the one who is giving the child and the one who is taking the child, the ceremony has to take place. That means it has to take place some kind of preferences or some kind of mutual understanding between both the parents of the child who is giving and who is taking. So until unless there is a ceremony between the giver and the taker in regards to adopting a child, and when there is no prior consent by the husband from the wife, it is null and void. So in this regard, the Supreme Court, that is the bench led by Justice L. Nageshwar Rao, has said that the mandate, that is the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act of 1956. So this judgment or these 2 points are in accordance with the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956. So you need to be very clear about the issue which has taken place. Again, for the prelims point of view, make sure that you are also focusing a little bit about what is about Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956. Thereby, if there is a prelims question, you will be in a position to make sure that you can eliminate the options. So this is how you need to focus on the prelims questions, because we generally think that how the UPSC has actually framed the questions. No, they would be framing the question from the recent happening or the contemporary issues, that is in regards to this issue or this news item, that is in regards to the Supreme Court verdict. So the judgment has been given or the mandate is being taken from the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, which says that no adoption was valid unless what we discussed about the first point and the second point were established, that is the prior consent and then the ceremony. And as per the section 7 and 11 of the 1956 Act, that is as per the 7 and 11 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, the consent of the wife before the male Hindu adopts a child and proof of the ceremony of actual giving and taking in adoption is a must. So the first point is taken into consideration by the section 7 and 11 of 1956, wherein as we discussed, the male has to take prior permission from the wife. So why this was in news, and why the Supreme Court has given a judgment in regards to that? That means there has been some petitioner who has filed a case. So we will look at where the case has actually originated and why it has come to the Supreme Court. So the petitioner here, or the appeal, was by an petitioner called as M. Vanaja. She has claimed that she has been adopted as a daughter of late Narasimhulu Naidu. Vanaja has filed or appealed to the court, that is the Hyderabad High Court, that she has been adopted as a daughter by the late Narasimhulu Naidu. But this plea or the suit was dismissed. Why it has dismissed? Because we have seen that the appellant, that is the Vanaja who has filed the suit, she has admitted that she does not have any proof of ceremony of giving and taking. That is, as we were talking about the second point, ceremony of giving and taking in adoption. So she clearly says that, or she has put forward to the court that she doesn't have the proof of ceremony of giving and taking. So once it is that she doesn't, so or else she cannot prove that she has a proof, it is very clear that her adoption by the late Narasimhalu is null and void. That is why the suit was dismissed by the High Court. When it was dismissed by the High Court, later on M. Vanaja has approached, or she has appealed, or she has filed in the Supreme Court. In turn, the Supreme Court has given a decision that it is not valid because of the two reasons. And the appellant was never adopted. The court also concluded rejecting the plea. Here in this case, even the adopted mother, the respondent, who is the respondent? The one who has appealed is the M. Vanaja, and the one who is the respondent is the adopted mother, that is the wife of late Narasimhalu. Even she has made it very clear that there is no evidence, and she was actually, M. Vanaja was never adopted. So it very clearly states that, as the mother says that she was not adopted, and in turn the appellant, that is Vanaja, could not prove by a proof of ceremony of giving and taking. And the point here is also the father has expired, that is, it is the Narasimhalu Naidu is a late, that is, he has passed away. So in this case, when she has filed a case or the civil suit for the partition of the property, so here the main point is, for the partition of the property, the appellant has filed a case in the High Court, which was dismissed. Again, she has approached the Supreme Court, which was dismissed because of the two reasons as we have discussed. So you have to be very clear, or make sure that you are focusing on the Hindu Adoption Maintenance Act, section 7 and 11 of 1956 in regards to this news item. And the third one which we would look at the news item is that no spike in arrest on Bangladesh border. So the Ministry of Home has made a statement in the House saying that there is no spike, that is, there is no increase in arrest on Bangladeshi border. That means we are talking about the arrest, that is in regards to the illegal migrants who are entering into northeastern states from Bangladesh has reduced. And when it has reduced, that means the arrest also have reduced. That is what the Union Minister has tabled or given a reply in the Lok Sabha. That is, on March 3rd, the Union Minister of State for Home, Nityananda Rai, has replied to the Lok Sabha saying that some, as it has reduced, is also emphasizing on there is some betterment which can be done. So what he is talking about is some infiltrations are able to enter into as a covert and as a secret manner from the Bangladeshi, that is the Bangladeshi border. Even though there is the reduce in the arrest of the Bangladeshi illegal migrants entering into India, but still there are few infiltrators who are entering into or through the covert and then secret manner. And this is happening, the Minister of State for Home is saying that this is happening because mainly due to the difficult terrain or riverine terrain. So the keyword is difficult riverine terrain. So this terrain, that is difficult riverine terrain, is for 900 kilometers with the Bangladeshi border, wherein it is very difficult to keep an eye on the infiltrators entering into the Indian borders. And it's not only because of the difficult terrain, but there is a problem in this 900 kilometer stretch of land. There is a problem in regards to land acquisition problems. There is also public protest, and there is objections by the border guards Bangladesh. So when these are the issues which are actually in regards to this 900 stretch kilometer, which is stopping or which is causing a cause of concern for the government or for the union ministry to have a physical fencing to stop the infiltrators. That is what the reply by the union ministers in the Lok Sabha. And then if you look at the other side of it is, which could be a genuine information for prelims point of view, that India shares 4096.7 kilometers border with Bangladesh. So it has 4096.7 kilometers border with Bangladesh, and the largest area which remains unfenced with West Bengal is 579.65 kilometers. Here we spoke about the difficult terrain, that is entire India bordering Bangladesh is 900 kilometers. But amongst these 900 kilometers, which is unfenced because of the difficult riverine terrain in West Bengal is 579.65 kilometers. This is statistics. Again, it could be a possible prelims question which could be part of this point 1, point 2, point 3, or the statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 and 4. So it's better to have a fair idea about the entire bordering India and Bangladesh, and then the difficult terrain 900 kilometers, and then within 900 West Bengal has 579.65 kilometers, and West Bengal shares with Bangladesh out of 4,967.6.7 kilometers. West Bengal shares 2,216.7 kilometers with Bangladesh, and along with West Bengal you have Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura which borders Bangladesh. So prelims point of view is, it could be that which among the following states do not border with Bangladesh. So it could be, they could be not Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, they could be Nagaland, or it could be Arunachal Pradesh. So it could be a probable question for prelims, and from this news item you can try to have a genuine CSE 2020 cracking prelims question here. And there is one more news item which talks about LPG scheme closed, but only 3 states have gone kerosene free. So it is by the Prime Minister of India, which has come up with the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. So the main intention of the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is to make sure that the women of India are free from kerosene free stoves, or from the stoves, or from the usage of the sticks for the cooking purposes, which actually hinders the health of the women. So taking care of the health of the women, our Prime Minister, or the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, has come up with the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, making sure that the health of the women, Indian women, is protected, because when the health of the women is protected, the health of the nation is also protected. So as the Prime Minister has come up with the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, this is in regards to having or making sure that it would be kerosene free stoves, or non-usage of the sticks or the woods for cooking. So parliamentary committee has come up with a report, and it said that out of India, that is in the entire India, out of 28 states, there are only 3 states and 5 union territories which are kerosene free. But the kind of efforts which were put in by the Pradhan for the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which has targeted 8 crore LPG connections. So the government by last September has targeted 8 crore LPG connection. That means making sure that even in the rural areas they would be free from kerosene free cooking and cooking by wood, and wherein the spike of LPG connection has taken place, but still only 3 states and 5 union territories have become kerosene free. So this committee was upset. Why is it upset? Because of these 3 states and only 5 states which have become kerosene free. Not only that, because of the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana scheme has been closed. As it is closed, the committee is upset. Why is it upset? Because the committee says that there are poor households in the general category in urban and also in semi-urban localities wherein they still require the coverage of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, that is LPG connection. So when there are still poor households even in semi-urban and urban areas which still require the LPG connection, what was the need for the closure of the scheme? For the closure of the scheme, the committee is upset. And the committee also has recommended that not just instead of closing the scheme, it is recommending the scheme to be extended to poor households in urban and semi-urban slum areas, so that not only 3 states but it would be extended for more number of states and achieve a higher LPG coverage wherein more number of populations and the households come under the LPG connections and they are not dependent, or else the many states they still are dependent on kerosene for cooking and household lighting. So we have seen this kerosene for not only for cooking and lighting, it causes health problems, it causes lung problem. So the cooking from the wood and cooking from the kerosene and for lighting causes the health problem. So in regards to concern about that, for the women and also the household members, the committee has recommended to extend it to further urban and semi-urban poor households. And it also talks about the allocation for the scheme has been cut down by 58% from 2,724 crore to 11,118 crores. So that means it is also emphasizing on the amount of funds cut by the government or the concerned ministry towards the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. And as we were talking about only 3 states, that is the Punjab, Haryana and Andhra Pradesh are the only 3 states which are kerosene free. And in regards to the 5 union territories, it is the Union Territory of Delhi, Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Andaman Nicobar Islands and Puducherry have become kerosene free. So this, please make sure that it could be part of your prelims question wherein as it is a report by the parliamentary committee, so it could be a question in the prelims as statement 1, 2, 3. So make sure that there could be one of the statements saying that the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is closed, and then as per the parliamentary committee, only 3 states and 5 union territories have become kerosene free. And which among the following states are the one which are kerosene free, or which among the following states are not the kerosene free states? So in that regards, make sure that you have a clear understanding of it, and this could be useful for the prelims point of view. And the next one is you have the news in regards to international news, wherein the Russian president has backed the amendment, or he has supported the amendment which will make him retain or which will make him remain in power. So there were few amendments which were brought in the Russia, which were actually backing the Russian president Vladimir Putin to remain in power even after 2024, because Russian president Vladimir Putin on March 20, 2020 has proposed a constitutional amendment. So Russian president Vladimir Putin has proposed a constitutional amendment in 2020, that is March 10, 2020, yesterday. And why he has gone ahead with the proposed constitutional amendment is that he wanted to seek re-election after his current term ends in 2024. That means his term as president would end in 2024. So he has proposed a constitutional amendment on March 10, 2020 to seek re-election, and that he would extend even after 2024. So this amendment was put forward by a lawmaker, Valentina Tereshkova. This person is a Soviet cosmonaut who was the first woman to fly to space in the year 1963. So again, for prelims point of view, never know. Again, from international news or international points, there could be a question in prelims giving that who among the following is the first woman to fly, the Soviet Union, then Soviet Union 1963. So Valentina Tereshkova, and she has proposed, what she has put up or amendment is that she has proposed either scrapping Russian two-term limit. Please understand, the amendment was to scrap Russian two-term limit. So the limit is to scrap two terms. So once the second term ends in 2024, Russian President Vladimir Putin will not be eligible to again go ahead with the election or to contest the election. So the proposed amendment was to scrap the two-term limit for presidents. Or the second one is resetting the clocks so that Putin's fourth term wouldn't count. That means making sure that again next whenever the amendments actually comes into action, from then again the Vladimir Putin, that is the president of Russia, will have another again two terms to contest the elections. So wherein again it will be, now he is in the second term, and then again if the resetting of the clock is done, so that again from 2024 another two terms from 2024, that means it will be four terms would take place. So that is a very clear move or the proposed constitutional amendment which was taken up by Vladimir Putin. And Putin is 67 years old and is in power from more than 20 years. So he is the longest serving leader since Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. So apart from Joseph Stalin, nobody has served then Soviet Union and Russia for such a long period, only other than Mr. Vladimir Putin. And he has served as presidential terms from 2008 to 2008, and he has shifted to Russia's prime minister's office and then Putin again reclaimed the presidency in 2012 and won another term in 2018. Now 2018 term would end in 2014 and thereby is seeking re-elections. So this could also be, these points mentioned here could be a probable question even in the international news for prelims point of view. And then you have a news item in regards to the business or in regards to the economy, and there is a new term called as shared economy. Keyword here is shared economy. Please keep in mind this shared economy, wherein it's a new one which would pop up or wherein you can use or which can be time and again used in your answer writing, or you can also mention whenever you are trying to substantiate your answer. Shared economy. So shared economy at 2 billion US dollars by end of this year, that is 2020. So what does it talk about? It talks about, so how can we go ahead with the shared economy, how the shared economy can be increased, or how the shared economy will really add to the 2 billion economy of the country, or else how this term sharing will actually help the economy. Fine. So sharing in regards to working, sharing in regards to living, sharing in regards to mobility, sharing in regards to furniture. That means co-working, co-living, shared mobility, shared, or else you are renting or giving rental the furniture or furniture rentals. So these four areas are the one wherein you can share, and then you can make sure that the economy is increasing, or else this shared economy keyword would be part of the Indian economy. So there is a report, and then the report is titled as Shared Economy India Story. Shared Economy India Story. So the key phrase or the statement is Shared Economy India Story. And this talks about the high mobile penetration, high millennial concentration, and an aspirational population. That means it talks about the shared economy, or else this concept will actually boom. Why it will boom? Because of the high mobile penetration. So is the report actually says that these 3 or 4 areas will impact the economy in a positive way. That is, the sharing of these areas will impact the economy in a positive way because of the high mobile penetration and because of high millennial concentration. That means you have youth which is high in number. India has the highest human resource and it has high mobile penetration, and it along with these two you have aspirational youth population. So these 3 areas are the one which will actually make sure that the shared economy will increase or it will boom by the end 2020 by 2 billion US dollars. And it says that Asia has the highest willingness to use shared assets. So the concept or the keyword is shared economy, shared asset, co-working, co-living, shared mobility, furniture rentals. And it says that India mirrors Asia, as we have seen that Asia has the highest willingness to use shared assets. India is trying to also take up the entire learnings from the Asia, and then in these aspects if we use this shared economy, I mean shared assets, then India will be poised for high growth, and it will be in regards to adoption of this shared services. So shared assets, shared services will impact positively the shared economies or the growth of the shared economy, and which will impact the high growth of Indian economy. In 2019, the report also says that the segment as estimated to be over 1.5 billion in size in India. That means by the end of 2020 it will be 2 billion US dollars, and by the end of 2019 it has estimated that the shared economy in India would be 1.5, and then from 1.5 in 2019 it will raise to up to 2 billion by the end 2020. And this shared economy in India is estimated to be about 2 billion, as I said, by the current year, according to the report called as Maple Capital Advisors. You never know if UPSC is asking it. It could be they could mention that, but most probably they will not mention which according to which report, but there would be a mention in regards to the keyword shared economy. So their focus is on the shared economy. So again, this is a probable question for prelims 2020. The shared economy includes segments such as co-working. So when we are talking about the co-working, when we are talking about the co-living, when we are talking about the shared mobility, and when we are talking about the furniture rental, we have few examples. That is office, we work India, different organizations, and for co-living we have Stanza Living, Oyo Life, which are in the hotels. We have Oxford Cabs, and in regards to the shared mobility, as we all know, or we are all experiencing the Uber, Ola and shuttles, and in regards to furniture rental, Forlenco and Rentomocho. So these are the ones which are actually gradually having a lot of impact on the youth of India. So probably when you have looked at, when you have heard in the first, when we are talking about shared economy, you did not have much of idea, but after looking at Oyo or looking at Oxford Cabs or looking at Uber, Ola or Shuttle and then Rento Mojo, now you have a clear understanding about what is shared economy and then how best it can make sure that the economy progresses, Indian economy progresses. The report also adds that in this era of growing concern on climate, so there is a concern. So till now we were talking about economy. The report also emphasizes not only on the shared economy, but also it emphasizes on the climate. It emphasizes on the wastage. It emphasizes on the resource scarcity, and it emphasizes on population intensity. So how does this shared economy has link or some kind of understanding with the climate and waste and all this? Yes, it does. How? Because by the shared mobility, we can make sure that we are trying to contain the carbon emissions and which will impact the climate change by using the Uber, Ola, shuttle, by making sure that 3 or 4 members using one car or each member using each different car, and then that would emit carbon emissions. It would impact the climate change. Therein again carbon emissions. So we are making sure that the shared economy is as well helping the climate change or making sure the carbon emissions lower. And in regards to the wastage, we have seen that there is lot of wastage which especially India experience. So making sure that by co-working we are co-living, we can make sure that we contain that wastage. Resource scarcity. So we also have the resource scarcity in India. So we can overcome the resource scarcity by co-working and co-living. So this is also emphasizing on the scarcity or to overcome the scarcity of the resources and population intensity, especially in the developing countries. So we know that furniture or the rentals which would also impact the trying to control the population intensities. So the shared economy, that is in regards to co-working, co-living, shared mobility and furniture rental, will impact not only the economy but also making sure that it will impact positively climate change, positively to come out of the wastage, positively to overcome the resource scarcity, and then making sure that we also focus on the population intensity, the rate of the population growing. The shared economy seems to be sustainable. So the keyword is the shared economy. Just we are not talking about the 2 billion or 1.5 billion, but we are talking about all this when we are talking about the climate, wastage, resource scarcity and population. It is focusing on the sustainability keyword. Please emphasize the keyword sustainability, scalable and efficient form of addressing these concerns. So this is in regards to the civil's point of view. You can also have a question on this. So what is the market size? The markets of the size of the shared economy, as we have spoken, is that it is from 1.5 to 2 billions, and given the growth, the potential profitability and momentum, the shared economy expects significant IPOs and private funding in the next 2 to 3 years. That means it is focusing on the market, or it is making sure that it targets the IPOs and the private funding so that it will increase its intensity or its importance in the next 2 to 3 years, and further then, and it would move further from 2 billion US dollars from 2020 to more higher economy. So this is also an prelims point of view. So make sure that you pick up few points which could be in profitable or most probable questions for prelims point of view. I hope the newspaper analysis, Hindu newspaper, was informative and helpful for you to crack UPSC Civil Services English 2020. And I request you all to like, subscribe, and then hit the bell button for the further notification whenever you are watching the video of Let's Crack UPSC Civil Services. And you can also use my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10, to get additional 10% discount on the subscription. So I hope my video was helpful. Thank you and see you in the next video.